Okay. I want to talk about how police handle riots and shit like that. Okay, here's the issue. The First Amendment gives us the right to speak. That's me scraping my legs in the leather. I'm not farting. The First Amendment gives us the right to speak. Even if our speech is disagreeable, even if our speech is wrong, even if our speech is racial, you can legally say racial things. I'm not saying it's exactly correct, but, the courts have upheld the rights of the Ku Klux Klan. The courts have upheld the rights of flag burners. Okay, you have a right to speak even though your speech is ridiculously unpopular. Now, you do not have a right to obstruct pedestrian or motorist traffic. You do not have a right to disturb the public, like with noise, excessive noise. You do not have a right to trespass on military or government buildings, like police buildings and other buildings that say no trespassing, private property. You do not have a right to set fires, to beat the shit out of people, to rape people, to hit officers. You do not have that right. Now, what the officers do, you cannot have one police officer come to a protest, stand there, and when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, that officer gets on the radio and asks for more officers. Because it takes 6 minutes for me to get an officer on the scene. Okay? If I want a riot squad, it's going to take me 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, I don't know. So what the officers do is the officers have the riot police on hand right away. And if the protest is fairly peaceful, the officers will step back and give way to the protest. You've also seen barriers, police barriers, and the police will say, stay on the other side of the barrier. That is for several reasons. Number one, if the protest becomes a riot, it might be easier to contain from a strategic strike point. Also, the people that are not involved in the protest have a right to peacefully come by. So they need a pathway so that they can go from point A to point B without being obstructed. And if the protest is fairly modest, the police will stand down. That being said, if the protest turns violent, it turns into a riot, the police are already on hand. Now, a SWAT team is a team of specialized officers that are sort of a military special forces unit. But they're for the police, and a lot of them might be special forces veterans. They are meant to do strike missions like hostage rescue, taking down a dangerous criminal that's barred in. A riot squad is meant to control the masses. And most police departments will train any officer for riot duty because as opposed to a SWAT team which has 10 officers, a riot team might have 500 officers. The SWAT team tries to use non-deadly force. They really haven't used deadly force since the 60s and 70s. It's very, very rare now. Non-deadly force might be tear gas grenades, which cause crying, excessive burning of the skin, and they incapacitate people. Not kill, incapacitate. They also have beanbags. Now, a beanbag or flexible baton is a 12-gauge shell you load into a regular shotgun, pump it up, fire it. You must be extremely careful to make sure that you don't confuse your live shell for your beanbag shell. And hitting someone with a beanbag fired from a 12-gauge is the equivalent of a Hall of Fame pitcher hitting someone with a ball. They also have fire hoses, which they mostly use the fire department to bring down and implement, because the fire hose, the pressure will knock you down. They also use mace cannons, pepper spray cannons. We mostly see those in prisons for riots. But a mace cannon is a giant cannon, and it can fire a high volume of pepper spray and other things to irritate the face and to incapacitate, to cause vomiting, nausea, because let's face it, okay, you can't have one officer with one pair of handcuffs arrest 500 people. Okay? And rioters often set fires, flip cars, beat people, rape people, set buildings on they set buildings on fire, cars on fire. They throw Molotov cocktails at the police. They throw bricks at the police. There was a man in the LA riots who was pulled out of his truck and beaten with a brick. Okay? Now, the police, the Constitution does not give you a right to do these things. And if you think it does, then you're beyond my help. And the police job is to protect the innocent people in the community from your fucking shit. Okay? Because if the police officers stand down with their hands folded and let you set fire to buildings and rape people and throw bricks and throw Molotov cocktail fucking bombs, then all of the innocent people in the area can sue the police department for failure to act. Okay? And I always hear these people that defend the rioters saying the fascist police officers, it was an act of fascism, the police are brutal. Where the fuck does it say in the police contract that a police officer has an obligation to stand down and allow someone to set a fire, or to flip a car, or to throw bricks, rocks, whatever, raping women? Where is it in the police officer's contract that he is required by law to protect your constitutional right to set something on fire? Any police department in this country. I'll wait. Let me check my time again. Okay, I'm way under. So that's the police thing. Did the police get out of hand? Well, let me tell you this. 99% of the time, okay? 99 out of every 100 police involved, when a police officer uses violence, whether the violence is pushing, whether the violence is shooting someone in the head, 99% of the time, the police officer had a reason. 99% of the time. The officer was justified in his actions. Because at the time he acted, he felt that the person he was assaulting was going to hurt him or hurt another innocent person. And we always judge the cops. If the cops have to arrest or kill someone that is a member of any minority group, we always get these so-called civil rights advocates defending the Good Samaritan who was acting out his constitutional right to assault an officer with a brick, and he was killed by the evil, brutal police officer. We're going to talk about anti-Semitism now. I've noticed that a lot of these occupiers, I don't know if it's all of them, but I've seen enough, are saying a lot of anti-Semitic things about the evil Zionist Jew bankers. There was a woman, she was a teacher. She appeared on camera and gave a shout out to her school board. I'm a teacher from this school board. And the Zionist Jew bankers responsible need to leave the country. And she was fired. Now, remember we talked about our constitutional right to be a racist? Okay. Well, you do not have a constitutional right to be a teacher. The Board of Education that she works for might have Jewish employees, Jewish teachers, Jewish executives, Jewish secretaries. I imagine the school has Jewish students, the school district. I imagine there are Jewish parents. There might be a Jewish janitor. Okay? There are people of the Jewish faith. There has to be at least one person of Jewish faith that works for that school board. And I imagine they will be very, very upset. I mean, if I worked for a company, or if I worked for a school board, or if I worked for any place, and I saw one of my fellow co-workers talking about guineas, I'm Italian, talking about guineas, greaseball, wop bastards, I would call my supervisor and I would say, listen, that person that works for our organization said something racial about Italians, and I'm offended by that. So the school board fired her ass. Now, if you put your employer in a position where they're going to get in trouble, they will fire your ass in 1 minute. Okay? When I worked for the supermarket, okay, I worked for a supermarket a few years ago. If I was off work, not in uniform, and I saw a television camera, and I said, I work for this supermarket. These Jewish people, or these people of this color, or this religion, or this diversity are evil. My boss could have fired me. He could have called me into the office and say, you know what? You gave a shout out to our company and you talked racial on television. Here's your last paycheck. See that door right there? You have 30 seconds to move through that door or security will move you through the door. Okay? And most companies will tell you when they hire you, it could be a private company, it could be a public company like the school. The school is a public company. City Hall is a public company. The fire department is a public company. Okay? They will tell you racial stuff is not tolerated. They will tell you racial stuff is not tolerated. It doesn't matter if you're off duty, not in uniform. If you are making a public statement that is racial, you can be terminated. Especially if you give a shout out to it. Now, I'm a Tea Partier. Let me check my time again because I'm fanatic. Okay. 3 minutes. I'm going to sum this up. I am a Tea Partier. And if I had $1 for every politician, I had a congressman that said that we wanted blacks hanging from trees. I think it was Jesse Jackson that said Republicans want to bring back slavery. Yeah, we ended it, now we want to bring it back again. I've had congressmen say, Tea Party is the enemy, the Tea Party is a terrorist group. Where are these people when occupiers say anti-Semitic things? We've seen occupiers holding up signs saying anti-Semitic things. Not one member of Congress has called the occupiers racist or anti-Semites. There are people in Congress that are of the Jewish faith, and they themselves have not said anything. They themselves, if I was I'm Italian, if I'm a member of Congress and I see an occupier with the "fuck the guineas" sign, I will be the first person to come out and say, why is that person walking around with a racial sign? Well, hypocrisy, bros. Hypocrisy. Okay, I don't want to go over my time. I'm going to cut now because I want to talk about the Tea Party. I already started about it already. I want to talk about the Tea Party and the occupiers.